for the serious whitetail hunter, the upcoming season can be full of anticipation, excitement, and a lot of unknowns.
There's just nothing growing. Nothing. It's so frustrating.
Some seasons, after all the hard work, the success almost feels like it comes too easily.
I'm in shock. I'm in shock right now. Scissors. You got it.
Then, there are some seasons, no matter how hard you work, the season just completely humbles you.
Biggest deer of my life, and I just screwed it up.
I don't know what the heck's going on here. I don't know. I missed that deer. Not very good.
Then there are some where it just comes down to straight perseverance.
He's giant. I hope I got that on film. Thank you, Lord.
This time, we lean on Romans 5, 3, and 4. And not only that, but we also glory in tribulation, knowing that tribulation produces perseverance, and perseverance produces character, and character produces hope. And to us at Whitetail Edge, perseverance means results. I'm Ben Rising, and welcome to this year's Whitetail Edge. Whitetail Edge is brought to you by Mossy Oak, Black Widow Deer Lures, Prime Archery, G5 Outdoors, and Novix Tree Stands. Everybody asks why I like Black Widow Deer Lures. Well, the proof is in the pudding.
So, this grape's right here. First thing I'm gonna do, I want to freshen this thing up to really get this deer paying attention anyway, so I'm gonna put this Black Widow on there. Yeah, baby. I just smoked a giant on a Black Widow mock scrape, baby.
Hi, and welcome to Whitetail Edge. On this episode of Whitetail Edge, we're going to join my good friend Dan Lussier as he's going after deer that I've had a lot of history with over the years. Dan and I have become really close friends the last 5 years, and well, long story short, I'm going to give him a good buck.
How much fun was that? That was way too much fun, but it's a little intense.
Dan Lussier from Vermont. I've been hunting in the Midwest for about 30 years. I've been hunting in Illinois, Kansas prior to Ohio. We've been coming to Ohio for probably 18, 20 years now. One of my buddies, Todd Rainville, was fortunate enough to connect with some guys out here, and we're able to lease a couple of pieces of property. And I would say about 7 years ago, we ran into Ben. He was working on redoing the flooring on one of his farmhouses, and we saw him outside, so we pulled over and kind of struck up a conversation with him and kind of picked his brain a little bit about the hunting Ohio and our approach and properties, etc. So over that period of time, sort of struck a friendship with Ben, and sort of our relationship has continued to expand. We really love and enjoy working the properties and sort of developing habitat. And John studied this a lot more than I have, but I followed his directive, and we've worked hard at implementing some of the strategies that Ben talks a lot about. The way to build your cover, make sure you stay out of the bedding areas, transition areas, and certainly building plots. So we've really focused on doing that. We don't have a lot of crop land in Vermont, so the opportunity for deer to grow in that environment is very limited. So we've implemented a lot of strategies around building bigger plots and having more of a year-round food source. Certainly our winters are much tougher than they are in the Midwest. So it makes it tough to grow deer. It makes it tough to grow a large number of deer. So we've put in a lot of larger soybean fields, a lot of brassicas as well. Working through some of Ben's strategies, we've seen a significant difference. And I think one of the compliments we can get out of this is we have a lot more neighbors hunting around the edges of our properties because they've seen the result. And so when we connected with Ben, and probably about 3 years or so ago, we started talking about how can we work together here in Ohio and see if we could improve some of the quality of the properties. And so we started implementing that, and it's been just an absolute pleasure. We've learned a ton. We still have a lot to learn, as you'll imagine, you'll see in some of the clips. But there's no question that the strategies that he implements as part of managing properties has created significant opportunities for us. So we're very, thankful for meeting Ben, connecting, having this friendship, and kind of look forward to building from there.
So this deer we call Super Duty. He's been hanging around this farm for some time that I've been leasing for years. And he's just kind of been in and out. Sometimes he stays, sometimes he leaves. And he's just never really been a target buck yet. But this year, he really put on some size. He's probably a 5-6 year old deer. He threw a big drop tine, and he's looking pretty impressive. So we decided that this was the year to take him out. I had already killed a deer in Ohio, plus my plan was all along that this was the deer I was going to let Dan hunt. And so I started making preparations early in the year. I told Dan how we can kill this deer. So Dan obviously started doing the same thing when he got into camp. I told him how we would set this redneck blind up, or how it was set up for certain winds, and how the bedding area was with the water hole, etc. Little clover plot, and basically just how we could take advantage of this deer. And if we put our time in, we would get a shot at this deer. So we're here on this farm today checking this clover plot. This blind I've had in this spot for some time. In fact, my son Briar, shot his very first deer out of this blind. And we've got this deer on this farm called Super Duty. And Super Duty is a big old deer, but he always likes this corner of the farm. And all the deer I've been chasing the last few years really haven't been on this farm, and I've kind of neglected this side of the farm a little bit. It's a hunting lease I got, and I got a feeling we're going to lose this lease pretty soon. I feel like the lady's going to be selling, so I'm going to come in here, or I did come in here is what I'm trying to say. I came in here early this spring, and we reworked this a little bit and planted clover. And we've got this analogics in here. If you look down here, I can show you this clover that's really nice. And what I'm trying to do is just make an attracting spot for these deer to get in front of this blind. And I really want Super Duty and another deer we call Superstar. It's got a messed up rack to kind of come to this side of the farm. And hopefully Dan, my buddy Dan Lussier, can get a shot at this deer right here. And we'll probably feed a little corn, because all the neighbors are feeding corn too. So we're probably going to feed some corn or some analogics, whatever it's going to take to kind of try to hold these deer on this farm. But the green food source, this is like a destination spot. We've got a little water hole over here. And then, adding a little corn or some, grain of some sort can kind of hold these deer here till they leave at night. Because there is beans behind this tree line that the deer will feed in, but the neighbors are all stacked up on that property line there and this property line over here. They're all going to be trying to kill these deer, and they all got corn piles out. And so sometimes you just got to combat them, and that's your only choice. And I know Dylan has to do that too. Like he's hunting urban zones, and the only way to get some of those deer right in front of you is to bait them. And it's legal in Ohio, and it's not something we love to do, but when everybody else around you is baiting, that's really your only choice. But we're going to do everything we can to try to get Super Duty to come to this plot and get in front of this redneck blind. The reason I really like this spot, because for this redneck ghillie, I'd like to have a hard blind here, but for one, it's a lease, so I know that you're not always going to keep them, so it's hard to make that investment in a hard blind, put it on stilts, get it in here, get it set up, and then have to move it maybe in 2 years. So these I have on wooden platforms. I can just pull them out of here, pull them up on a trailer, and I can leave. This one has been sitting here a while. It's been on this platform a while, but the reason I like this is because the wind, I can hunt this on a north wind, and especially a northeast or a northwest. I'm good with any north wind, and that's what seems to make my bigger deer move the most onto these plots in those October, November time frames. Gets them deer coming out of the bedding areas. They come check these plots out looking for does, and that's just why I've got it where I've got it. And that's really a good thing to think about, like when you're setting up a blind or a stand. Think about, you know, having the best wind advantage and the best way to get in here. And that's the other thing, we can get into this blind super easy. Right from the barns, we can walk back a mowed path that I keep mowed, slide right into this. We're not messing up any deer whatsoever around us. They don't even know we're in it. We get in it, settle down, and the deer start moving, you know, when it's time.
Whitetail Edge is powered by DeerCast, Illusion Systems, Deer Grow, Redneck Blinds, Spartan Cameras, and Analogic.
Heading out for day one of Ohio bow season. Only about 65 today, so it's a little on the warm side. But we'll bring the heavier gear in. We've been putting out mock scrape with the Black Widow Scrape Master and Branch Butter for the last couple of weeks, and you can notice just in the last few days how they really started hitting it. So should be a good afternoon. Certainly the DeerCast guide has said that this should be one of the good days, so for early October we'll take it. We'll give it a shot and see if we can put this prime bow to use and get a couple of the G5 broadheads in action. We will venture out and see what the night brings. We're just gonna get ready to set up for the afternoon. Here's our little phase 3 foam.
Okay, you got him. No, I missed him. No, you got him. No, I shot underneath him. I saw blood. No, I didn't. I shot right underneath him. You got blood. I don't think so. You hit him for sure. I'm positive.
Whitetail Edge is brought to you by these other fine sponsors: Advantage Ag and Equipment, HHA Sports, Miller's Gun and Supply, Rogue Bowstrings, NFP Insurance, Classic Rack, Cobra Archery, Packer Max, and E-Bikes of Holmes County.
I aimed about that far below his back. What then? 30. And he was about 40 yards there, so. But I thought it went. I didn't follow my arrow. I did through it. I don't know how much you got. Let's take a look at the video. Rewind.
He read the script perfectly. He gave us a shot at 35 yards, and the execution was less than stellar, I'll say. Not gonna lie, I was pretty jacked up when he showed up, and pretty jacked up through the process. We had really good footage of him. The scenario played out perfect, but I made what I thought was a really good shot, but I came up probably about 5 yards short on the shot.
Pretty sure you hit him. He's licking. Does him a little bit. Is he fighting with that other deer? They're just not fighting. They're just tickling.
There's no justice in this world. There's no point in keeping score. Some got it bad, some got it worse.
So we're gonna try for round 2 today. We had quite an adventure yesterday. John and I had a great hunt. Saw a ton of action. It's great to see that the deer are starting to tickle horns a little bit, certainly go into scrape and licking branches. Unfortunately, we did hit a deer last night, hit him low, brisket. We saw him, he was back in the plot again this morning, so don't look like we hurt him. He doesn't know what happened, so we're gonna go back in and try to get after him. Hopefully he cooperates again today, but just another gorgeous day in Ohio, and the wind's coming from the north, so it looks like everything is aligning. So looking forward to a great sit, and hopefully the outcome's a little more positive today.
Trying to get a little redemption from yesterday. We had a great hunt. Deer cast had predicted that yesterday would be a great day, and it definitely was that. We're going to settle in here. We had an opportunity to target buck called Superstar. There's a couple of them on the farm, but Superstar was our target buck, and he came out just as we had hoped he would. Just didn't execute the way we had hoped, so we're gonna settle in and see if we can get it done.
So the following night, we decided to go back into the same spot because we'd had a glimpse of Super Duty that same night as well, just before we had the shot at Superstar. So we were hoping he'd showed back up, and sure enough, he shows up and almost performs the same way as Superstar had. Comes in, walks around the blind, and we'd watch every deer the day before come up from the bedding area through the plot, about 20 yards left of the redneck into the soybean field. And every deer did the same thing. So that night we decided to be a little more patient, give him some time. He was at 35, 40 yards for what seemed like forever. It was probably 20 minutes, but all the other deers filter to our left at 20 yards through the bean field. So we fully expected he would do the same. And after missing Superstar the night before, you know, having a conversation with Ben kept saying, be patient, he'll be there, he'll go right through that opening into the bean field. So we decided to be patient. John was on camera, and I think he was jacked up that he showed up, and he was trying to convince me to take the shot, and he literally gave me the same shot that Superstar had given us the night before. So we were ready, but I just wasn't comfortable. After missing that deer before, I just didn't want to do that all over again, and kept thinking in the back of my mind, as Ben reminded me to be patient, that he would come to the left and he would be 20 yards out and it would be a chip shot. And so we waited and waited, and we ended up losing to darkness. Came back the 1st of November. That's the typical time of year that me and some of the guys from Vermont come and hunt the various farms. So he was definitely at that point our target deer. We had a brief encounter where he came out in the ag field chasing a doe, walked away, deer started filtering in, and then this doe came out, and she walked from our left right into the clover plot.
was way too much fun, but it's a little intense. It didn't go quite the way we had planned. Oh, we just hit Super Duty. He's about 30 yards. We're gonna take a look at the shot and see what it looks like, but oh, that was so exciting. He was here for about 20 minutes and Dole kind of rattled this up. We'll see what it looks like.
So after we reviewed the footage, try to gauge the quality of the shot, and although there was some good blood pouring out of it, we looked at the deer cache track just to get some additional intel to see what our best move is moving forward. And based on what we saw, we decided to give it tonight and not take a chance. Going into the recovery, it's always a mixed emotions, and you're on a major high once you recover the deer. And for us, it was just an unbelievable, memorable year. John had hit his deer that morning as well. We weren't confident in the shot. We did the same thing. We used deer cache track to really determine the quality of the shot and determine that it really needed to sit that entire day and wait till the next morning. So after we recovered my deer, we went after John's deer and were blessed to find that deer as well. So great kill, a 2-year story on that deer that we've been chasing. And in addition to that, just a couple days prior, one of the reasons Todd was on camera is he had killed his target deer as well, the deer we called Harley. And we had a 3-year history on that deer. So all in all, was an incredible year for our group. We can't thank Ben and all his guidance to hunting these deer. Quite frankly, Todd's deer we've been chasing the previous 3 years, and we were going about it all the wrong ways, and Ben said, I will help you kill that deer. And he helped us with stand positioning and how to get after that deer, and it didn't take Todd 3 days and he got the job done. For those of you that follow Ben and some of his tips, I strongly suggest that you adapt some of his strategies because they work.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Whitetail Edge. As you can see, Dan redeemed himself with this great deer. Superstar's probably in trouble this year because he's still running around, and we'll just see how that story unfolds. But hey, again, thanks for joining Whitetail Edge for this episode. We hope you really learned something from our shows. Follow us along on our socials, all the places that we air. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We appreciate you guys, and have a great day.